Welcome back to the Elle-Sera podcast, and today's guest is Daniel Reilly. Dan is the co-founder of a company called Ruler Analytics, but he's also a guy I've known really well. He's known me longer than my partner. In fact, he actually introduced me to my partner, so he's someone that I lean on quite a lot in business, with a friendship, and who knows where today's chat's going to go, but I'm keen to find out. So thanks, Dan, for coming in.
No, thanks for having me. I'm hoping the chat can be all about what we do, marketing attribution, super self-indulgent and dead scientific, but you've told me that'll bore people to death. So just overview.
No, I think we should start with a bit of that because...
as long as you don't throw me under the bus when we start talking about dating.
No.
Or something.
No. Well, you brought it up, to be honest. So.
Right. You keep threatening that. So.
Okay, so tell me about Ruler Analytics. What does it do? Give me an overview.
Yeah, so Ruler Analytics is a B2B software company. So it's a software product that we've created. We sell into the chief marketing officer or marketing director within mid-sized to enterprise global organizations. So what the product does is it identifies waste within marketing and advertising spend. And then it further identifies areas where that waste could be reallocated for better return on ad spend. So the best way to position it is if people are familiar with Google Analytics as a measurement tool for marketing and advertising, then we are everything that's not. So once you get to the sophisticated level and a sophisticated use case within Google Analytics, then that's when our product would become sort of viable. When you're trying to answer the questions, the commercial questions that you've got within your business that Google Analytics just isn't answering, that's when Ruler Analytics comes into play. We're based in Liverpool in the UK. All of our payroll is based here. Predominantly based in the UK, but most of our growth comes from North America, US in particular. Work with a lot of great brands, work with companies like Trustpilot, Mercedes-Benz Retail Group, work with a lot of large FTSE listed businesses, CAC listed businesses, DAX listed businesses, Fortune 500 and S&P 500
serious
businesses.
Players in the market.
Yeah,
with serious piece of software.
Yeah, it really started off as an SME focused software because we were trying to monetize features that we had built. That we bootstrapped the business, used our own money and a little bit of institutional funding. Never gone for a Series A round because we'd become profitable and tried to grow organically. But we were an SME product, and then we've kind of just moved up the value chain, if you like. That's
for anyone who doesn't know, an SME product is small, medium.
Selling into small and medium sized businesses. That's what we were doing initially. That kind of got us to our first 7 figures of recurring revenue, and now our sweet spot really is in global organizations, global enterprises that have that marketing measurement problem.
Okay, so I'm thinking, because marketing is, I listed this the other day on my LinkedIn on the LinkedIn post, and this is just the marketing that I do as a very small brand, and it's relentless. I mean, my post ended up being about that big, but every single touch point has got to be hit. Do you know what I mean? It's everybody goes, "Why do you do a podcast?" I'm like, "Because it's marketing." It's literature that you put inside your orders. It's actual Facebook, Google. It's billboards, it might be magazines, it might be campaigns, it might be influencers. The list goes on. But for some of these big companies that you work with, it's like radio, TV, billboards, bus stops. Like touch points are absolutely all over globally, over the world, and online. So your tool would measure all that as well. How does it do that?
That's right. So there's 2 ways of splitting that. So we are. So sort of first and foremost, we're a first party cookie. So the advertising platforms are all third party. So we've got, Apple has transparency regulations now, iOS 14, people will be familiar with that. So we're a first party cookie. So we've got deterministic tracking. So that's tracking the impressions and clicks that a visitor took or a visitor had, let's say, along their buyer's journey. And then we also take into account probabilistic stuff. So it is understanding definitively what did happen. Again, where ads were seen digitally.
Yeah.
And where ads or marketing was engaged with, typically a click. And we also take into account when we'll take data and information from the client and simulate what stuff that didn't have an impression and a click or something that wasn't trackable, the effect that had.
Right.
And we use a data science simulation called it's called Markov chain.
Right.
And there's different types of Markov chain simulation. It's a 60-year-old science. Essentially, it's how the Met Office predict the weather. Lots of data inputs in, lots of variables and simulations. So the better the data we've got to put into this simulation, the better our probabilistic model can become. The differentiator for us is that we do have that deterministic data as well. So we've got all of the impressions, all of the clicks over an infinite look back window, essentially. So we can understand the exact journey that a customer took to buy an Elle-Sera, let's say, for instance.
Yeah.
So we understand, they were searching for, I don't know, an ashwagandha product, or searching for a magnesium product, or searching for a tribulus product, or maybe very top of the funnel, their first touch point was seeing some of your social engagements or seeing some of your social engagements on other podcasts, top of the funnel stuff, all the way down to bottom of the funnel where they're actually reading reviews on Trustpilot, for instance.
Right.
So we can understand the value and the contribution that every single touch point had. That's great for the CMO, essentially, because the chief marketing officer or marketing director can then identify waste, and his or her practitioners can then reallocate that waste to areas where there is more headroom, we call it. So more opportunity for a better return on ad spend. And then also agencies, and or the CMO can respond to that sort of the frequent devil's advocate question that you get within organizations or within an agency scenario where the client, or let's say the chief financial officer or the CEO or shareholders or whoever sat around the boardroom table is saying, well, does that marketing even work? I wouldn't click that ad. Or these sort of questions where they're saying, how can you justify your annual budgets? And how can you justify your spend? Or how can your agency, for instance, how can they justify their retainer? Or how can they justify the channels that they're deciding to allocate ad spend on? So it kind of does two things, really. It evidences, but also helps the practitioner. We initially built it for practitioners.
Right.
Because we were practitioners.
Yeah.
My first business.
Practitioners meaning business owners?
No, we were digital marketing.
Right, okay.
My first business, I still have it as a digital marketing agency.
Your agencies,
We were doing it, and then essentially we've scratched our own itch by creating a product that told us, trying to build a product. It's taken us a long time to do it. It's quite a complex data science problem that we're solving. But we were using Google Analytics and using Meta's measurement, using Microsoft's measurement tools, so on and so forth. And we're saying, this isn't really giving us all of the answers to the commercial questions that we've got within our business. It's great as a under the hood, Google's telling us how our website was used, visitors, visits, bounce rate, conversion rate, that sort of stuff. But then we still had questions that we thought if we had the answers to them, then we would be able to take we'd be able to take action on that.
And calculated risk. You think, okay, well, I know for me, what works offline, let's say a piece in the Daily Mail, massive, huge spike when that happens.
Yeah.
It's just mental. Again, how do you track that? Because obviously it's a physical newspaper, and obviously, but I mean, we know because we're a small company and we can see where these spikes are coming from. But if you were a global brand, and let's say you had like 10 pieces of like great PR going in all over the world, you wouldn't necessarily know where your big sales were coming from. So that's why it's important.
Yeah, and over time as well, because there'll be diminishing returns from all of these channels and diminishing returns from those particular pieces of a PR, let's say. So, that piece of PR sat in Daily Mail, let's say, online, it'll be part of a user's journey. It might be the third touch point they had, or the first touch point, or the ninth touch point they had. And we can see the most common paths then.
Right.
And then the most efficient paths. And, something like TikTok ads might be, it's very top line, but saying TikTok ads might be showing you a return on ad spend of 4.5x, which is great in isolation.
Yeah.
But we want to see if we could dial down a little bit of that TikTok spend and spend a little bit more of that on, TV in a certain territory.
Yeah.
A certain cable network within California, for instance, and see how that affects the overall cost of acquisition. So it's a constant moving target, and we have something called a budget optimizer, which is a constant sliding scale. So what we're trying to get to is we're trying to get to a stage where our clients are always getting suggestions as to where areas where there is more headroom and more opportunity for better return on ad spend. It's quite clear where there's areas where they've sort of maxed out. So they could buy more business from that channel. They could spend more with Meta, let's say.
Yeah.
And buy more business, but there is diminishing return. So the cost of acquiring more business from that channel, or the marginal effect of that channel, becomes less efficient. Okay, great. So if we've got another 10K there, we can reallocate it to a new test environment, say.
Right.
Let's test some public relations work. Let's test some advertorial in a great publication.
Yeah.
So it's a constant moving target, and we're trying to hit that inflection point on every channel so that we're maximizing return on ad spend, essentially. And it's always moving, and it's always dynamic, because new channels. When we started creating this product, TikTok wasn't even a thing.
I know.
ByteDance hadn't even created TikTok, so something like that is even a new channel. Just one new channel has democratized advertising and marketing even further. So it's constantly moving. And by definition, we're constantly evolving, iterating, and innovating to solve those problems for the CMO and the marketer.
I mean, you touched on it there. So how long have you had the business?
The business is...
Or Ruler, how long has it been developing?
Ruler Analytics is 8 years old now.
Right.
And it spun out of a traditional marketing agency that I still have.
Yeah.
Which is client services, where we're managing advertising spend across, Google, Meta, TikTok, Microsoft platforms like LinkedIn for clients. Clients predominantly in professional services and financial services still have that business, but that business is now, golly, it's almost 15 years old now.
Right.
Which is strange actually to say that 15 years on, but we essentially, it was a spin out. It's a completely new limited company with separate investors. The only commonality is the two founders.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've gone from being the practitioner to being sort of a product owner, if you like.
Do you know the story of Slack and how that started?
Yeah, I have heard the story before.
Very similar.
I use Slack. Yeah, I mean, it's that cliche word, pivot, isn't it? It started as an internal comms.
Communication, yeah.
They were a games company.
Yeah, that's right.
And they had an internal comms platform for themselves.
Just to sort out questions with their engineers.
And the games company started failing, but they thought, actually, what we actually have here is an internal piece of tech that we feel would be a great software as a service product for the mass market. That's right, isn't
exactly,
it?
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's great. And it reminds me of that. You I don't know, you solved your own problem and then put it out to the market that other people must have this problem, surely.
Yeah, that's right. So the initial thing for us was we fell in love with the business model after we started the business, if you like. So software as a service is attractive because you're creating a single product essentially, and there's not really many marginal increase in costs other than hosting, let's say. The difference between having 100 businesses using it and having 1,000 businesses using it isn't that different. You've not got to create any more product. It's recurring revenue as well, which is great. So we fell in love with the business model sort of after actually starting the business. I would say I'm
the same. I started the business and then I was like, I need to double down the subscription. Not only is it better for the client, because you can get a relationship and consistent journey and whatever, especially with the software, which you need to actually keep on because things don't happen. It's a relationship you build over time. So it makes sense to have recurring revenue in software.
Yeah. Well, it certainly does. Yeah. So the commonalities between our two businesses are that if you think someone will do 90 days of, well, you've got multiple products now, haven't you?
Well,
but
only two.
If we start with I know there's other things coming down the pipeline we were discussing before we started rolling, but your product, let's say someone runs a 90-day trial of it.
Yeah.
it'll start to hit their blood plasma after 30, 60 days or something. And all things being equal, I'm guessing they'll start to see the benefits more and more over time.
Yeah.
If they stick with the ritual and their lifestyle's pretty clean outside of that, then the compound effects of taking it are going to be better after 6 months than they were after the first 90 days.
Yeah, correct.
So it is actually you're not just trying to shoehorn in the subscription because it's better for you cash flow wise and stuff. It is actually better for the business and for us. I mean, for the individual, the customer.
Exactly, yeah.
And for us, it's the same, because the more that our algorithm can collect data over time, the more intelligent that becomes for each client.
Yeah.
You think about, we run the same simulations that gambling companies do to predict odds for themselves. The Met Office does for weather. And all of the accuracy of these models becomes better over time. And because there's more data, more credible data for the algorithm to analyze and to sort of test and identify nuance within that. And it's the same for you. The compound effects of taking this within your supplement stack over time. At what point does that top out? I don't know, a year in, let's say, if you've really done it, but then it's part of your lifestyle. Then how
exactly,
do you go back?
It becomes part of the lifestyle. But also for us as a business, I can just see where people are on that journey as well. It just makes so much sense. Not only is it more convenient, it's actually cheaper for the customer. It's more cost effective for them, but it allows us to see and plan like where they're going to be at in their journey. Because you're on 3 months, you're on 6 months. You should be feeling like this or whatever. And yeah, it helps us grow as a business because we can plan for our revenue, etc. as well. So it makes business sense, but it also really benefits the individual. I do subscriptions for loads of businesses, for loads of products that I use personally all the time.
Yeah,
I always do subscription. You
do the holistic piece as well, don't you? So you and your sort of customer success team, we'd call it that. I'm sure it's called something different, something more elegant within your business, but you to a certain degree, you will work with the individuals that are your customers, won't you?
Definitely.
So you'll have calls with them and you've got dialogue with them.
Yeah.
Say, okay, well, we've got this isolated. You're taking this product, this complex, that will create these chemical reactions in your body and will create, a different biology, essentially. It is found in your blood plasma. It's making you feel different. But you will also consult with them as to how different lifestyle changes can amplify the effects of that.
Absolutely. I had it this morning. Literally, as soon as I wake up, I've got a message from a customer and blah, blah, blah. And she was like chatting away. And I was like, so can I just ask what other supplements you're taking? She's like, yeah, I'm taking this multivitamin. I was like, with respect, you are wasting your money on that. Mm-hmm. It is so low dose. There is nothing therapeutic in it. And then I just showed her the real ingredients. I went, that's what they're telling you is in it. But there's the real ingredients, which was the first 20 were bulking agents, like magnesium stearate, E numbers. There was like anti-caking agents. So those were the first ingredients. I was like, there's actually like no room for any like
active stuff.
Any active stuff. Yeah, and even with at the bottom with the active stuff is the worst form of it anyway. It's the inactive forms of it. I was like, you might as well just not bother. And she was like, really? I was like, yeah, really. And I was like, whether you take my product or not, I just want to tell you, don't waste your money on that.
That's the added value, isn't it? So business consultants and stuff will tell you, you've got to always do things that scale.
Yeah.
You've got to be super inefficient with your customer success and your ops. But that, interestingly enough, that level of customer success and consultancy within, because it's not like an astronomical amount to use your product, is it?
No.
It's a premium product for people who, you've got a discerning customer base.
Yeah.
But that added value is, it's almost priceless, isn't it?
Well, exactly.
Because you've put thousands of hours of learning in yourself.
Yeah.
And you can distill that down on a 30-minute phone call.
Exactly.
With someone who's, unsure about something.
Exactly.
And that's huge. So in theory, it doesn't scale business-wise for you to be speaking to one of your, 3,000 customers or whatever it happens to be, 4,000 customers. But it's huge for retention, isn't it? And building goodwill. And it really does.
100%. And like I said, even if they're not my customer, I would still offer that level of service and advice.
Yeah.
And if they said, oh, what's the best vitamin D to get? I'd be like, this is the best vitamin D. Please make sure you get it with K2. This is the reason why. Oh, right. Okay. I didn't realize that. And then, sometimes they've got to take a bit of accountability themselves. They're saying, well, no, I don't exercise and I eat too much sugar and I'm an emotional eater and blah, blah, blah. And, there's nothing I can do about that apart from I'd be like, okay, well, starts today then. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And give a bit of like, but
Moral support.
yeah, absolutely. But if they want actual genuine recommendations, then I'm like, yeah, here you go. I do not make any money off these recommendations. I don't even take commission when I probably could.
Yeah.
But I generally and genuinely don't want to, because I don't want people to think, oh, well, you're profiteering off that recommendation, because then I lose my integrity. I don't want to be paid in any way to be recommending a product when I don't, and I just don't need to. So, like, there's a multivitamin that I give to Grace, a really good one.
Yeah.
Not once of like, I'm like, I always make a point of, I'm not being paid to say this. Genuinely, this is how I feel. I've put in the legwork. I've met the team behind it. I've been to their research lab. They are great. They've spent nearly 2 years in R&D with this product. As a supplement industry is unregulated, it's like the Wild West. So, and most of them that you find on the shelves in Holland and Barrett boots, they just about pass. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they can make label claims because they've put a tiny dose of this, and this in. Is it a therapeutic dose? No. Will it stop you from getting scurvy if you're having a tiny bit of vitamin C? Yeah, you won't get scurvy. Is it optimizing you? Absolutely not. You're not doing anything. Yeah. So there's a big difference between, yes, you're not going to be like disease ridden, but no, you're not at optimal level as well. Anyway, so we've gone off on a tangent. So to go back to the business then, what is the origin story? Like, have you always been into tech? What did you do in uni? How did you get into this?
Yeah, if you want to go back that far back. So I haven't. So my business partner is more of the techie than me, if you like. You know, he's got engineering capabilities. And prior to us starting our first business, had worked within one of the large global network agencies, media buyer. My story was I'd studied in the United States, so I did my undergrad in the US. I was on a golf scholarship out there that paid for my education. I knew I was never going to be good enough at golf, and I'd basically lost the love for it by the age of 17 or 18, but it paid for my education at a D1 uni.
Right.
So I enrolled in the business school, studied economics as a major, completed my undergrad there, came back here, and myself and Ian, my co-founder in both businesses, we started, he had a cashback site, so an affiliate site.
Right.
So it was the early days of affiliate. So he'd learned a lot about that whilst working in that network agency, a lot about our space. So in those days, it was things like search engine optimization and pay-per-click management. The early days of sort of online advertising and marketing. You know, when Google was kind of like the new thing, even Facebook's flotation and stuff like that. And I'd minored in marketing, majors in economics, come back home, and we decided to start another business together as well, which was called Fitternet. Actually, we decided it was going to be an online. It was algorithm based. It was an online personal training platform.
Right.
So people could put in their own variables, i.e., the outcomes they wanted, their availability to train, and all the rest of it. And it could sort of demystify what they should be doing and automatically generate a program for them. And it actually gained quite a lot of traction, as did his affiliate site,
right,
this cashback site. But we had a couple of things happening simultaneously. We didn't have any startup cash, and the business was great. We'd learned an awful lot whilst starting those businesses. And we actually decided that we were looking for supply chain. He'd worked within digital marketing supply chain for larger businesses. And we thought there was an opportunity to create an agency model that was better. So we decided to start a business called Epic New Media, which, is still going, and gave birth to the Ruler Analytics business. So we started off managing paid ads and managing organic search for clients.
Right.
So we started an agency, and we liked agency because we thought we could do a better job than that we were receiving from the sort of supply chain that we could afford.
Yeah.
And we'd learned a lot by doing things for ourselves for a year or two. At the time we had a low cost of operating, so we could be, cost efficient as part of a law firm supply chain or an insurance company supply chain. So we started that digital agency in 2010, and then that that led to the ruler analytics business, which has been a great success because we were customer one. We knew we needed it. We couldn't find a solution to the problem anywhere on earth, and we decided to start building out this product. I think if we'd known how complex it was going to be, probably wouldn't have started it in hindsight.
Well, yeah, that's the same with every business. You look at the top of the mountain, you think, oh Christ. But if you just look at the next step in front of you.
Yeah, it's such a complex engineering task that we sort of undertook. We thought, well, we'll have 1,000 customers within no time with our first feature.
Yeah.
But, it has been a success. We did raise some institutional money in the first year, and, we've continue to reinvest and grow and
iterate the product.
Oh yeah, well, that's the first thing we spend on. That's always kind of like people talk about where to double down within your business. For us, it's always the product comes first.
Right.
The product comes first. So it's always better software engineers, better data science team. We've got a long roadmap still. The roadmap's there's always a year on the roadmap because we're constantly adding features and they move up and down the kind of development roadmap priority list. We manage that quite tightly, but the iterations and the added features and the problems that are to be solved, the list continues.
I mean, you've got to be agile in a space like that because it's moving so quick as well. I mean, are you adopting or are you going to implement any AI into the platform?
Yeah, so that's what we're marketing attribution, which is taking what has happened in the past and giving you a definitive view of what has happened in the past. But we're also marketing mix modeling. It's also known as media mix modeling. So that's the predictive piece. So that's the budget optimizers stuff. So we're running future scenarios to be able to, it's referred to as predictive analytics.
Yeah.
So we have advanced machine learning capabilities within our product already. I don't use the AI acronym a lot. Advanced machine learning is artificial intelligence essentially, but everyone is trying to, two things within our business, because we are an authentic SaaS business, software as a service business. Everyone's trying to SaaSify their business, whether it is or it isn't, because, for various economic reasons, they're more attractive to acquirers and whatnot. And everyone's trying to use the AI acronym now, which kind of dilutes its value. So we do have that. We refer to it as advanced machine learning. But we've been working on that for a few years now and implementing that in the product, and it's available in the user interface now.
I think people listening to this podcast, I'm sorry, I'm not going to stereotype too much, but let's just say some of our average customers are female, 40s plus, 50s plus.
Yeah.
Might not be really au fait with tech and stuff like that. Yeah. And they're probably listening to you and thinking, oh my God, what? Every click that I'm doing, my purchase choices aren't my own. And I know when I talk to people about, because we used to have this, I was telling my dad, I think it was, we used to have this piece of software called Hotjar where I could watch and record exactly what people were doing on site. So we would know
familiar with the product. Good product.
Exactly. So they would drop off and everything. And I'm like, Dad, there's so much tech now. Like, I can record what you do on every single website. I can follow you around the world. Like, I can follow you around everything. I could throw ads at you, whether you're reading the Daily Mail or whether you're not.
You're going to ask the big brother question.
Well, do you agree? Like, I'm sure people listening to it are thinking, oh my God.
Well, there's a simple answer to that.
It's what's happening?
Yeah, so it's a valid question. But I think the key is, don't worry, because it's not Alyssa Corrigan or Daniel Reilly that's identified. We're just a number. So there's no personally identifiable information in that. We're just, a hashtag and a series of numbers that's unique. So we have a unique identifier for each user, so each individual like us, but we don't know that it's Alyssa Corrigan.
Yeah.
Well, until you buy or you inquire. But at that point, you've said who you are, and you're happy to give your data to that business, i.e., give your
email address or
to say I'm happy to be a customer. Yeah, I'm going to come and buy. But it's not as Big
you want
Brother.
That 10% off code, which is I mean that's all I do.
The aim is never to be the aim for us or for the industry gets a bad name really. It's very easy to sort of run editorial on it and scare people with this whole Big Brother piece. But the private sector is typically not trying to do the Big Brother piece. The public sector is trying to do more of that.
Yeah.
HMRC and, you know, people like that. I don't really know. But for us, it's at a visitor level, but we don't care about it being the individual. We're just trying to see the commonalities in the paths for that person. There's no personally identifiable information.
And there's just no way around it. I mean, I spend all bloody day on the internet and I'm always shopping, always shopping. Yeah. There's so many companies that have my email address. I'm like, yeah. And I want to go on the website, but I have a blocker that pops up immediately. Do you accept these cookies? Yeah, every time. I just want to get rid of the pop-up and see what I wanted to see on the website.
Oh yeah, you accept every time.
Every single person must accept cookies. Who's going through unticking little things? Nobody.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? A lot of people are, but I think
I wouldn't say a lot of people are.
Well, the big difference now is that Apple 4 years ago now, with that, they had a software update, iOS 14.1, I think it was. And that automatically enabled you to opt out of all third-party tracking. So that was huge.
It was huge. I mean, everybody kept scaring me about it. All these agencies kept scaring me, like, iOS 14's coming in. And I was like,
but my ads just became less relevant. So it actually annoyed me. All of a sudden, I'm getting ads for things that I'm not even interested in.
Yeah.
My experience before, you know, people in California got involved in, well, the regulators in California, essentially, where it stemmed from, or the GDPR within the EU. You know, before the super liberals got involved in trying to scare people into how, you know, advertisers are tracking you. You know, they're not trying to track you for any super insidious, creepy reason. Just trying to make sure we give you the right experience online.
Yeah.
You know, give you the right ads, give you the right suggestions, and make your experience better. My experience on the internet's worse than it was pre that cookie acceptance thing. I'm sick of ticking that box, aren't you?
I know what you mean.
It's ruining my browsing experience.
I always say this to my dad again. I'm like, the boomer generation, with respect, didn't have any of this. No one could get hold of you. And if you wanted to go and buy something, you go in a shop. Now I've got shops that are exposed to me all day long, and it's so hard to keep money in my pocket. It's so hard to keep money in my pocket and not spend. Do you know what I mean? You sent me a discount code to Lululemon the other day, and I was like, fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm now, I've got like 10 things in my basket.
Did you use it?
No, they're still in my basket.
It's expired now. It's too late.
Fuck. But well, maybe it's not bad things. I literally can't get any more clothes in my wardrobe. But yeah, so I just think it's so hard to keep money in my pocket. Now I have to do forced saving as much as possible, whether that's investing in another company, which is now becoming a bit of an angel investor.
Yeah.
So get that money out of my account. I can't have it there.
Yeah. Well, that's the old adage. The old principle is pay yourself first, isn't it?
Yeah.
So whether you run payroll for yourself, or you get dividends, or you're lucky enough to be employed and get that payroll lands the last Friday of every month, whenever it is. You know, the old financial advice thing was to take 10, 15, 20% of that and pay yourself first. So essentially put that into your savings account, put that into an index fund, or, you know, pay that first. And you automate that.
Yeah.
So you can't even touch it. And the rest of it can just be used for discretionary spending or
bills or whatever.
Yeah, wants and needs.
Yeah. But
you've got to automate that. You've got to make that rule based.
Now I've got to force myself to do it, because it's so easy just to like think, oh, well, there you go. I've got cash in my account there. It's fine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's so easy to spend £1,000. It's so easy. Before I know it, it's a joke. And I'm like, fucking hell. Do you know what I mean? A couple of things on Amazon, £100 basket on Amazon a few times, bit of shopping, go out for tea at the weekend. And before you know it, you spent £1,000 on the weekend.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Especially with 3 kids and
a house reservation.
Yeah.
A house renovation, should I say,
exactly.
going on. You've got a lot on at the moment.
No,
it'll calm down in a couple of years.
No, I hope so. Apologies for interrupting this podcast, but I need to ask a favour. If you're enjoying this podcast so far, then please hit that subscribe button right now. I'll be straight up and honest that I want to see this podcast grow and flourish into something that I'm really proud of. And the only way that I can do that is with your help. So if you've ever learned anything useful from these conversations, then please return the favour by liking, rating, subscribing, and maybe even sharing it with your friends. Thanks very much. Let's get back to the episode. So, okay, so you're somebody that I lean on for a lot of stuff. You're somebody who we kind of read the same stuff, listen to the same podcasts. What have you been reading lately? What have you learned?
Sounds like it's a bit of an echo chamber, doesn't it? Yeah, we need to make this group more diverse. Do you know what's interesting? I became very addicted to listening to Audible because I drive a lot.
Yeah.
I probably spend 90 minutes to a couple of hours a day in my car on average, I'd say. So I spent years sort of being addicted to Audible and trying to get through a book and learn things on a weekly basis. And I've actually recently taken, this has been conscious, I've made the decision to actually dial down on that a little bit.
Right.
Just like listen to music and be a little bit more relaxed in my journey, because you spend a lot of time, we've got to be very focused on what we do in our niche, data science and the stuff that's really life-changing for us in the moment. I spent a few years going off on tangents, reading economics books and philosophy books and history books and, God knows, what it was, because I felt that real urge to have that broader knowledge base and read classic works, within all of the academic disciplines. And actually, you can find yourself getting really, really principled about certain ideas, and it can do the opposite of what I thought it could do. I thought it'd be liberating, but you end up becoming quite tied into certain ideas.
Yeah.
The political spectrum's a good example at the moment, isn't it? Because they run up to the US election. It's such a polarizing thing, and it can become quite combative, can't it?
Well, that's the thing. And then if you've got somebody it's hard to then talk to people about it, especially if they're not exposing themselves to the same kind of stuff or literature or podcasts or whatever. Yeah, you can find your views getting skewed quite a lot, especially if people make a compelling argument for whatever they're saying.
Yeah.
And over the course of a book, they definitely will do.
One of the subjects that I'm always sort of across, because it's a bit of a hobby as well, is your area, actually. The area you exist in, let's say. And obviously we sort of converge on that quite a bit, don't we? Talking about I'll run things past you. Yeah. Let's say whether it's supplements or nutrition, lifestyle. Everyone's doing this biohacking type thing now, but I do find it quite interesting. That's an area that I always try and stay across. Not as deep as reading books on it at the moment, but certainly like my YouTube feed. My YouTube is very much, I'll be looking at stuff from people like Brian Johnson.
Yeah, I mentioned him on the pod last week. We had a lady that you will love called Dr. Nicola Conlon. She has a precursor NAD supplement called Nuchido. Really good supplement. She's done clinical trials, human clinical trials on it. Amazing. But the one thing but that's actually not her real job. She's got a research lab, and she's researching and patenting like longevity enzymes. It's so fucking interesting. She's amazing.
Well, the space is moving on so much, and it sort of getting to that age where, well, not getting to, I am that age now, so I'm 39, and you become a lot more aware of your own, your
mortality.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and got a kid, and you got a family, and you want to, I still want to improve, physically, cognitively. Improve performance-wise day to day, have more energy, have more clarity, have the the ability to execute in the business better.
Yeah.
And that's where people like your Brian Johnsons and your Andrew Hubermans and this sort of stuff. Health is becoming it's just a huge category now, isn't it?
So big. It's so big. And you can just optimize in health as well, because you've got people who used to be the, eat less, move more kind of crew, do a bit of exercise. And now it's becoming, oh, well, you need to take this, Brian Johnson, he's like the extreme version of everybody. Yeah. He's taking like over 130 supplements a day, and each one does something, that the other one doesn't, or whatever. He's just optimizing all of his levels. And I love Brian Johnson. I really do.
Super grateful for his work.
Absolutely.
Because he's
really testing it on himself.
Oh, it's absolutely great, isn't it? And he's obviously a super high IQ guy as well.
Yeah.
He's achieved a lot. He's backing himself. He's commercializing it a little bit now, which is fine. But I've really liked his work. I obviously really liked Huberman's work. A lot of these guys operate in across the same podcasts and all that sort of stuff. But really, really grateful for people like that. Work, because you can take. For me, it was looking at the definitive yeses. So let's say he's taking 130 supplements a day. Yeah. I'm looking for, okay, so where are the real wins there? Where the stuff that exists in the grey area, and then the stuff that he's saying definitive no's. So it seems now that like, Huberman's pretty staunch advocate of like, you just can't even really consume ethanol and alcohol.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's a real definite no.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's no positives to it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's only negatives. It degrades you in every way. And then you've got the definitive, the stack that you should be taking, the sleep habits, the lifestyle habits, the exercise habits, different stimulus you put on your body. Like, it's good to get some objective truths in that area.
Yeah.
Because it was always very vague, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Growing up, it was like, well, what is it? Like you say, you made reference to it before, you take a vitamin C, but you didn't realize it had to be esterized or it had to add, have bioflavonoids in order to be bioavailable. So you were trying to make the right decisions, but there's no objective way of knowing whether they were the correct decisions and the choices you were making and how you were allocating your capital to bettering your lifestyle and improving your health and improving your performance. But that whole space is exciting to me.
No, I love it. I went to a conference called the CCR, which is an aesthetics conference. So you see everyone talking about the latest, greatest filler, the latest, greatest stuff that's going on in the world of like, fractional lasers on your face. I mean, talk about feeling shit about yourself going there. Yeah. Wow. The Abaji skincare, section, they're telling me, and they were like, yeah, so you've got this is your under eyes. That's retails at £58. I was like, right. And the other 7-step routine, 650 quid you're looking at per month, just for the set of what they deem is like absolute,
for a topical skincare regime.
Topical skincare.
Yeah, so nothing going inside your body, just absolutely applying it.
Just on the top surface. And I was like,
just for your face as well.
Just for your face. That's it. So I was like, wow, okay. Which is I'd have to have a whole nother job just before. Then you got your Botox, your fillers. Yeah. You need your lasers, maybe a CO2 laser, maybe a couple of times a year, a bit of Radius. And they're going on about this bit of Sculptra in there. I was like,
interesting what.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but just while we're on the topic of Brian Johnson, something that did stand out, it seems to be his current position on this, and he's leaving no stone unturned. Yeah. But his current position, I know loads of girls, they've got 11, 12 stage skincare routine every night. They do it diligently. They're doing it while they're having the white wine as well, which is funny. But his position on it is, through his testing, he's found that there was nothing topical as far as like creams or serums or oils that actually improved the quality of his skin.
Right.
That's his position right now. So it's either all coming from the inside or it's like his red light therapy.
Yeah.
And some of the, maybe some of the injectables and stuff. But he said there's no evidence for anything topical. He does wear an SPF.
Yeah.
An SPF 50.
I watched that whole video of SPF and he's got this aluminium.
Yeah.
I'm using his words, not mine. What's it called? Umbrella. That he goes out with, and he looks like a dickhead, let's be honest. Yeah. And he's so white, he looks like an alien. I want a bit of flush of colour, do you know what I mean? But I'm with him on the, the only thing I really do religiously every single day is SPF 50 on skincare, 100%. But just to go back to what I was about to say, so I'm looking, and I'm at this, another stand, and it's called Morphia. Pretty sure it's Morphia. Don't know if you want to get that up, Dylan.
Is it Morpheus 8?
No, that's Morpheus 8, yeah. But this is a topical skin cream. Right. 15 mils was 170 quid. So for 100 mil of it, £1,300. £1,300, and it's a cream. And it's not like a creme de la mer, which has just got loads of branding and is basically seaweed cream. It was, so they're saying it's got exomes in it, which are like one up from liposomes. And I was like, again, I still don't think they're topical in any way, shape or form. They said it's 99 times better than retinol. They said they've clinically tested it.
Right.
I'll get you the actual name of it, guys, so you can actually bring it up on screen. It's spelled Morphia. There you got it. Well done, Dylan and Cordelia. There you go. Skincare revolution. Groundbreaking skincare and science. So they're doing, they've got loads of doctors, professors and stuff involved, and obviously a marketing that makes you want to believe it. And they're saying it's 99% better than retinol. And obviously we all know retinol is great. But yeah, my God, is it expensive? 1,300 quid. I can't imagine the results it would yield for me to spend that kind of money on that. So that's for 30 mil, 235 for 30 mil.
Yeah, well, longevity and anti-aging. It's always been one of the most seductive markets for humans, hasn't it?
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
So, but I think you've got to get more bang for your buck. So I'm dead interested in red light therapy. I've spoke about this 10 times on this podcast. Chris was going on about getting
Brecker sells one, doesn't he?
Yeah, Brecker sells
Brecker's
one.
like done a collab with a company and left no stone unturned on creating the best product. $150,000.
No, I don't think. You can get more, like less
But
than
his
that.
is that. And he's saying that this is like, he's giving you alternatives.
Yeah.
Morning light, all the rest of it.
Yeah,
But I know that the kind of like Rolls Royce version
Yeah,
is
I mean,
that.
Chris was going on about getting a sunbed, and his hairdresser's like, get a red light therapy bed. He went, no, we'll make loads of money out of sunbed. I went, you'll get more money out of the red light therapy bed.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. Like, what would you even, who goes on a sunbed?
Is it even still a thing anymore?
Well, he says it is, but so red light therapy and dead interested. And then they had these unreal hyperbaric chambers, which were like
really excited about that. That's oxygen therapy.
Oxygen therapy, pressurized oxygen.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're breathing oxygen right now, but only 20% of what we're breathing right now is oxygen.
Yeah.
That's 100%. It's pressurized. So that is like healing your cells. If you had any kind of ailment, autoimmune disease, you should be in hyperbaric as much as possible. If you had any kind of injury, recuperation. But what was interesting about these was, because it used to look like a big long tube, like you're in an iron lung or something before.
Yeah.
And now they've really teched them out. They've got TVs in there, desks in there, so you can work in your hyperbaric chamber, sit there with your mate. I was like, oh my God, I want one. And it was only 120 grand, which I didn't think was that bad for the machine. Because you could sell it at these spa days with you and your mate, having an IV drip at the same time as you're having a movie. And
no, if you buy these products within your business and then you also commercialize it, because you're only going to be able to use them for a certain amount of minutes a day, right?
Exactly.
So we're all going to end up renting out our own assets anyway, aren't we?
Exactly.
Our cars, our driverless cars, all that sort of stuff. But so we've talked about all these sort of things that you'd have and you start, in your ultimate sort of home. So the red light therapy beds, that's a definitive yes, is it now?
Yeah.
It's improving your eyesight and stuff.
Of course,
yeah. Brecker's saying he looks into it directly and it's improving his eyesight.
Right.
And
saunas,
hyperbaric. And you need, is it red light sauna? Is that the gold
infrared
standard?
Sauna.
Infrared.
Yeah.
Infrared sauna. So you need all those three things.
And also and just regular sauna is great.
Well, so we need to create a facility with these things in it, don't they?
Yeah.
Don't we?
Yeah. And then obviously the barriers to entry will be, it's going to be expensive though, isn't it? Like to have a membership at this wellness exclusive place, they're expensive to run. They're expensive to buy these machines. They're expensive to run. You'd need to make it a full day experience to get bang for your buck, I think.
Yeah, we should do the forecasts on the what the payback time is and whether there's upside, whether there is upside.
My other idea was, and I said this to Danny the other day, and he said, "We'll do the work on it, see if you can make it happen." And I was saying this as well to my PT. I said, "Why can't you have red light panels all over a room and you do a workout?"
Yeah.
Because the thing is about our generation is you can't sit there for an hour in your red light not doing anything.
Well, that's the hyperbaric example you've just used.
Exactly, so you can be on your laptop.
It's stacking all of those.
Correct.
Stacking all of those effects so you can be efficient too, isn't it?
Exactly. So if you could have a workout under red light, it'd be amazing. But I was like, and you could, I don't know whether you'd need to wear goggles or maybe Brecker says you don't, but you want to expose your skin to it. So then you could have a whole merch line of like, little knickers and little like bra tops and for the men and just, because you want to expose your skin to as much red light.
Oh, you want as much exposure as possible, do you?
Yeah. So you'd be working out, in even less than the CrossFitters wear, but.
Working out in your Speedos.
Yeah. But it'd be so good that, wouldn't it?
Well, well, you're doubling.
Doing a 45-minute HIIT workout under the red light or whatever.
Yeah.
So good. I'm going to see if that can happen.
It's compounding the positive effects, isn't it?
Absolutely. So talk to me about what your regular day looks like, since you are somebody who's really interested in longevity, into your stacks, into a lot of people say it's toxic productivity to me, and because I do two things at once all the time.
Well, you can become obsessed with it. You've got to be. It's good to have the self-awareness to think, this is a bit. Is this a bit? Am I being a bit self-indulgent? Is this a bit obsessive? Do you know what I mean? Like what? And trying to understand. Is it definitively the right thing, as we mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
But a typical day for me, well, there's a lot of variables, but the commonalities are that I have to get exercise in every day, and it has to be varied exercise. Like it really ticks a lot of boxes for me, just mental well-being. Obviously, the chemicals released from physical activity, and it has to be varied activity. So it has to be something basically trying to build physical attributes and try and improve across every domain without becoming a specialist in one domain. If you become a specialist in one particular area, it kind of degrades the other attributes that you would want and are desirable.
Agreed.
So it's like trying to become, stronger across different planes of motion and within different activities, so physically stronger.
Yeah, a bodybuilder couldn't run for shit.
Yeah, that's an example of specialization.
Exactly.
Which is great in some regards. But for me personally, it's not. I like the idea of building like a really broad skill base. Or
you want to have a good VO2 max. You want to have, be able to be strong, probably pull yourself up if you needed to.
If like by the grace of God, you are able-bodied, I think you owe it to yourself, your family and, broader society almost. People talk about that, be fit and able.
Yeah.
So, you want to be able to run your sort of 10K in a certain time. You want to be able to, bench a certain amount, deadlift a certain amount, squat a certain amount. You want to be able to have great mobility and
good grip strength.
Flexibility. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, calisthenics is important. Yeah. Move other things as well as moving yourself.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of my day. Great if an activity like that happens in the morning prior to work if it can.
Yeah.
If not, it's got to happen like immediately after work. It's kind of a couple of things that have been happening a lot just this year is I've taken up paddle. Everyone seems.
I'm the only person who hasn't played paddle.
Everyone on earth seems to have taken that up. 'Cause, there's more availability of courts and stuff like that, and everyone wants to play. But paddle's great, because it's a great fun game. And there's lots of different, movement benefits to it, and so you take it. It's a great social box, like golf, really. You're playing with 3 other people. You're building that relationship over an hour or two. You're getting a little bit of fitness out of it too.
Yeah.
And there's a competitive element. I'm really enjoying playing that on a weekly basis or a couple of times a week. But every morning, people talk about morning rituals, and Gary Brecker, we mentioned earlier, he's got like this perfect ritual. It's quite hard to sometimes do all these things: grounding, breath work, natural light, all that stuff.
If anybody saw my Instagram stories this morning, I have 200 replies to it saying, I know exactly how you feel, Alyssa, because I literally said, I fucking hate these men who go on about the morning routines and clearly they haven't got children. Hormones is the worst one for it. It tells everyone, well, are you going to let your kids stop in the way of your goals? No, all right then, yeah. I'll just go and fucking do my meditation, my breath work, my grounding, and let Grace scream the house down and leave her. Yeah. Oh, it's not feasible. And every woman gets it and every fucking stupid fella doesn't. That's in that space, by the way.
My morning thing, the only commonality is get up in the morning, probably have about 250 to 500 ml of that sort of like aquapanna straight away. It's good water. You told me it was good water. Good total dissolved solid score. And then use Sun Warrior protein and then add sort of collagen peptides to it.
Yeah.
So it's all like food based, like protein. Use goat's milk as well, which is it an A2 or A1 milk? So again, it's better.
Yeah, it's better than dairy.
Yeah, and it's a better form of dairy, isn't it, for our bodies? Yeah. And then that gives me something to take most of my supplements with. The only supplement I do take at night now is the magnesium product, and which is soon to become your bisglycinate product.
Yeah, and it's here
on
the desk.
Oh, is it? Right, great.
This is just a dummy pack, by the way.
Oh, is it? I was going to be taking that home with me.
But yeah.
But the morning ritual is that, the water, and then make sure I've taken my subs with this Sun Warrior protein shake, which is a food-based shake. It's like a really quality product. So just the usual stuff, really, like your omega-3s, good quality DHA, EPA.
Yeah.
D3K2.
Yeah.
Good quality Vit C. Terra Nova's a brand I like.
Yeah, I recommend them all the time.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much exclusively on their products now. And
I think I found a better company though.
Oh, right. Well,
yeah. I'll give them a shout out. I love Terra Nova, by the way. I think they're great.
Take them multi-mineral and their multi-vit.
So bought loads of them, but I like LipoLife as well. The liposomal liquids.
It's all liposomal. Yeah. It's all liposomal. Right.
And it's been really engineered.
And that's higher bioavailability.
Higher bioavailability, yeah. And they don't put anything in there without a strategic decision on why that's in there. So, and they really do the R&D on it. But yeah, in terms of bioavailability, the quality of the supplement, it's not going to degrade over years, and it's really tightly regulated.
Oh, so it doesn't oxidize?
No.
Liposomal form doesn't oxidize.
Well, they've got it stable for like 2 years. We could sit essentially on the shelf for 2 years and it would be all right. So
does everything eventually have to move into this form to be optimal?
I mean, they started it. So it was liposomes were first discovered in 1960. They actually didn't used into, like, you didn't go out into the public, and they used in the medical space in 1995. And they used them in cancer, anti-cancer drugs, mainly ovarian cancer, because they could really target the delivery. And it's really new technology to the supplement space. But in terms of your bioavailability, let's say, for instance, you're taking 400 milligrams of a magnesium and it's not a liposomal, what's actually going to be absorbed in the body? Because a lot of it'll get burnt up by stomach acid, might not go where it needs to go. Maybe you're only getting 120 in out of the 400. So that's why if you're not taking a therapeutic dose and you're taking one of these multivitamins that's so low anyway, nothing is getting past your stomach. And that's why.
So you're predominantly in your kind of like hero product, the original Elle-Sera products is adaptogens and botanicals.
Yeah.
So could that have a liposomal application?
Maybe, but it's a different kettle of fish. But the reason the reason I use clinical data to ascertain the dosages, again, we've got big dosages in there, so that even if your stomach is and we've got a slow release capsule. That's why capsules are important, not tablets.
Yeah.
So it's slower released. So a lot of it is more protected, and you've got a higher dose. So therefore, you're going to have a greater effect than if it was, a really low dose. Then you're just not going to feel anything. But yeah, so liposomal, you can really target it. And if it's and by the way, I always say this, that the supplements industry is like the Wild West. It's unregulated. It's crazy. You've got to do your own due diligence, and you've got to speak to the founder who genuinely doesn't want to put out shit. And I'm one of those persons who doesn't want to put out shit. I've got to go to bed at night with a clear conscience.
That's where you're the same as the Terra founder,
exactly.
aren't you?
Terry. Yeah.
Is that the chap's name? Yeah. I've seen some of his content. But like he's had a load of credibility anyway.
Yeah, he's great. In fact, I'm sure he came from Solgar. But then they used to pick up formulas. I'm sure this is the story that Kate told me. He used to be at Solgar. He did all the formulations for them, but then they got bought out, and then it started dropping.
Yeah. They're an example of a company with loads of fillers and binders, aren't they?
When they are now. They never used to be.
Never used to be. Used to be a good gold standard product, and then.
Yeah. And then obviously they get bought out, and they think more profitability,
of course,
and then they reduce it. So hopefully you got to trust somebody. So anyway, so for me to bring out a liposomal magnesium, I had to do a lot of due diligence on the company who I was working with, and I just loved them. I just loved their ethos. I loved what they're all about. They're just amazing. So, and the other reason it took me so long to bring it out was because we were in a trademark dispute with Elle magazine. So I might have had to change the name. So I didn't want to start doing a load of packaging and it would have the wrong name.
Yeah, sure.
So, but
keep a lookout for that. Anything that's in the liposomal form in future. Yeah. That's the next marginal gain you put me onto.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Thank you.
So what else are you doing? So what do your workout routine look like? So you do like weightlifting. I know you go running quite a lot, or sprinting.
Running, yeah, like 10K is a nice distance, isn't it? 5 and 10K. So, a couple of, probably one exclusive day of running each week.
Yeah.
One good 10K running each week, for sure. Got to tick that box. A HIIT session, because it's a different stimulus.
Yeah.
Getting the peak in the heart rate. Kind of like your typical kind of Tabata 45 seconds of intense work, 15 seconds of recovery, or a switch to another station. Because I think that's a different stimulus where you're really redlining the heart rate. Not that you can't redline it in the run, but in a 10K, you're probably more in like zone 4.
Yeah, exactly. Steady pace.
A lot of time in zone 4, I'd say, rather than zone 5. And then making sure there's probably 3 days of good lifting involved. So pushing, pulling, squatting, deadlifting. Making sure making sure you're strong, essentially. I think that's in a bit of hypertrophy work. I think that's important. And then it's also nice, I know it's something Dan does as well, just throw in another couple of days of one day of like striking. So like boxing or kickboxing. Yeah. Because I think, the mechanics of those movements are important. And also I think it harks back to being a man. And it's kind of in our DNA to want to do some martial art. So a striking martial art and a grappling martial art. Try and make time for each one of those per week. Yeah. And that really does a lot for my own well-being. And it kind of it feels natural to be doing that.
Yeah.
So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or submission grappling. The only risk to that is injury. So trying to make sure that you're rolling with good people, and it's not like at 100%, because if you get the biggest objective is to not get injured in anything that you're doing, so you can continue your practice. But yeah, 3 days of resistance training, 1 day run, 1 day hit, and then make sure there's a striking discipline and a grappling discipline in each week, and I'm really happy with that.
I think people underestimate the effect of that can have. So because I think being able to carry yourself and know that you're quite strong, capable and able gives you another level of confidence. And I think, especially in business, you kind of need that. What is it? I think I sent you this the other day on Instagram, but Scott Galloway was saying you need to be able to walk into a room and know that you could literally, I don't know what he said.
He did say something extreme. Obviously, you're never going to know that you can do that, but I think it's just back to the principle.
But it gives you confidence walking into that room if you know, well, I can handle myself in this room, no problem.
Yeah, and maybe you can, you can't.
Yeah.
Maybe you're leading yourself into a false sense of security. You probably are, but I just know that for me personally, ticking those boxes, makes me feel good about my week. It's different stimulus on the body. So athletically, it's developing you in different ways, and it just fits with most. I don't want to make this a binary thing like males and females, but it's like I should do sort of like more yoga and Pilates and stuff, because that'd be good too. But I don't get quite as much from that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Need to make time for for the stretching, but like personality wise, I think just being a male, it's like lifting weight, doing hard exercise, doing the striking and the grappling, that really hard work, and some of it can be quite humbling, particularly the BJJ side. I think it's that's what really gives me a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah.
Satisfaction that sports like, I love to play things like golf, but it doesn't really tick a bunch of boxes for me. The only box it really ticks for me now is the socialization. It's a great shared experience with other people. You get time to talk, and, it's going to be mixed age groups and, people from a bunch of different walks of life, and, clients and customers, people you're doing business with, people in your own supply chain. I do love the golf, but it only really ticks that socialization box for me. I can't really fall in love with the process of getting better, because it doesn't really do anything for me other than it as an excuse to socialize.
Yeah,
so
you can't really get your heart rate up in golf, I wouldn't say.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so if you are listening to this podcast, you're not going to see what we've got on the table. And we've got on the table a couple of bottles of Aquapanna, and Dan kindly brought them in out of his car because he's a real Aquapanna fan.
Yeah.
So we were talking last night about our hero products, or your hero products. So can you run through us? This is one of them.
Stuff at the moment.
Yeah.
Stuff at the moment that I really like, because there's kind of like broad hero products that have been with me for a while, like my Vanguard or Fidelity app, for the dollar cost averaging into index funds. The pay yourself first thing, that was a good habit to get into.
So you put money into the Vanguard every month?
Yeah, just a small amount as a habit. Pay yourself first, live within your means, all that sort of stuff. That was a good habit. That came off the back of reading a couple of personal finance books years ago.
Like Warren Buffett style?
Yeah, a bit like that, a bit like that. He was an advocate of that, of course. But the hero products at the moment, subject to change, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your magnesium is obviously going to become one of them. But Whoop.
Okay.
I love the Whoop product. I check that data all the time. I'm not led by it, but I like to see the correlation. I don't use the data from Whoop as like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It tells me I'm in the red, so that therefore I'm physically, not in great shape that day. I don't let that be a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm okay that when some people reported that is a negative side to it, over, paralysis by analysis type thing, but I don't actually experience that. I'm just really curious to see. I like two things. So it gives you these lead factors on the correlation between your lifestyle habits and your, I don't know if you can actually call them biomarkers, but it's whatever, some measure of, heart rate variability, resting heart rate, deep sleep, slow wave sleep, REM sleep, that sort of stuff. A lot of markers in there, and then seeing your trends over time. I like to initially see the correlation between what I ate, the time I ate, the workout I'd done, and that. And then over time, those correlations become, once they're repeated, you start to draw a causation. So then it sort of creates rules. So it's data to obviously I like data anyway. My profession is data, is marketing analytics, but I really do like the Whoop product, and they're iterating all the time and making it better, and they're about to make the hardware better, which is exciting. Other than that, brands like, do you know what? I love Lululemon. I probably have loved Lululemon for about 6 years now. Absolutely love it. Typically unbranded. Materials are great. Feel comfortable in it. I might be kidding myself, but it feels as though it's smart enough to wear day to day.
Yeah.
Like I'm just wearing like Lululemon stuff to work, to meetings.
Yeah.
Like I used to wear suits all the time.
Yeah.
You know, wear cottons and wools and things without any technical capability. You feel stiff in the day, and you didn't have the freedom to move. But love Lululemon products.
Right.
So that's like it has probably been one of my favorite products for 6 or 7 years now, but really like that. Terra Nova, we mentioned earlier, really enjoying their supplements, really enjoying the Sun Warrior proteins.
Yeah.
Got a couple of different products from Sun Warrior.
You've got a favourite tea bag, haven't you?
Oh yeah. So we were talking about, that's like, a typical Brit in that regard. Actually, I don't know if Brits are more coffee drinkers now. Apparently we've become Americanized, but I like English breakfast tea, drink a lot of it. Downside to that is obviously the tannins in it make your teeth yellow, whatnot. So the dentist is always, telling me off for drinking too much of it. But Clipper, the manufacturer Clipper, make a blend of English breakfast tea now that it's organic.
Yeah.
So, certified organic Camellia sinensis tea, the blend, and a blend of teas. And it's in an unbleached tea bag as well, which is obviously important. It's important, isn't it? I don't know why it's important. You'll be able to elaborate on that.
Obviously, anything's bleached is not good for your body, is it? Tampons that are bleached aren't good.
And it's not a plastic product. It's not a plastic tea bag, is it? The Clipper. So I'm really enjoying that English. That they do an organic version and a non-organic, but Clipper's organic, unbleached tea bags, and it tastes just like a Yorkshire tea, which is my favourite brew anyway.
Yeah.
So you ask me next week, I'll probably have different products. But right now,
I've got another hero product. It's called Egg Life, and they've just started selling it in Aldi. And basically, they do it's basically like egg whites, okay, but they're in the shape of a tortilla, and you can do so much with them because you can actually use them like a tortilla. So you could actually put filling in them. And I've watched a video on their Instagram page, and they'd stripped it up into like pasta and then boiled it. So obviously I don't really like pasta. It's very heavy. Unless I was running a marathon, I would never eat pasta. It's too much gluten. It's too much just stodge. It's just a starch. It's shite. So, but it was absolutely amazing. So that is a real hero product of mine.
And it already comes in the form.
Yeah, looks like a tortilla. It's in like
a Spanish tortilla. It's just egg white.
Yeah, it's just egg white. It looks like a fajita wrap.
Yeah.
So you could actually make it into fajitas and everything.
Well, Starbucks, it's the first time Starbucks have had a product. It's only just
egg bites.
Yeah.
Oh, I live off them.
Yeah, I love them. Do you know, because you drive and you're on the road, you pass a Starbucks, like Costa's just all of it's garbage. Sorry to Costa, but whatever.
It cost a fortune.
And like Starbucks is kind of like, I don't really, whatever. It's all sugar and this and that. But you go in sometimes, you have a latte or something to pick me up. But I saw these egg whites. Finally, they've got a product in there that isn't too bad. So I've been having loads of them.
I know, so do I. Every time we go past Starbucks with Grace, she goes egg bites.
So this is a similar product, is it? You're talking about to what?
Similar to that, but it's 162 calories for the egg bites, and it's got red pepper. I can tell you what's in it: red pepper and something else in it. Sorry, maybe I can't. Oh, cream cheese in it, and then you've got the ham and cheese version. But I always get the just egg white version. But they're so good. So yeah, this is essentially just egg whites. Looks like a pancake.
Yeah,
they're so versatile. If you watch like some of the stuff that they make on the Instagram, I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, send me the link to them.
What a great product.
I'll get them in the fridge.
Yeah, that's a real big win for me. Egg bites, absolutely.
So that's your number one, is it? Have you got any more in the
hero products?
You don't like Whoop, do you?
I didn't like the Whoop because I got it at a time when I was like, I just had the baby, breastfeeding, I'm up all night, all this, and it was just telling me I was a fucking loser every morning.
Just telling you were tired.
Go away.
Right.
Yeah, just what's the point? Just go away. So it just annoyed me.
I thought you didn't like it because it didn't have steps.
It doesn't have steps as well.
It does now.
It does now, but it also doesn't tell the time. So so then I still got to wear a watch. Whereas why didn't it just tell the time and do steps and that's it? I'm absolutely complete.
Yeah.
Complete. But then is that just the Apple Watch? I don't know. But the Whoop is a bit more technical.
Yeah, and the Apple Watch, just battery's gone, isn't it, in no
Yeah.
time? It's super delicate hardware.
Have you seen these? There's something called 8 Sleep. It's like
Is this a grounding mattress?
No.
A grounding sheet? No.
It's something that goes on the mattress to keep you cool. And you and
Right.
your partner can have a different level of coolness. Now, I had a sleep expert on. He said it was one of the worst things he's ever tried.
Oh, right.
Then I was chatting to a couple in Marrakesh and they said it was the best thing they'd ever tried. I was like, whoa.
It's for controlling temperature.
Controlling temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he said it was really noisy.
Well, these grounding sheets seem to be, really taking off, don't they?
And what did they do? To cut out the EM?
Well, that's so the Gary Brecker principle. He's really popularized grounding in the morning, hasn't he? Like connecting with
just
sand or grass, or
grass,
soil or dirt or whatever, like the actual earth.
Yeah.
And it's changing the profile of your blood, isn't it? Well, alkalizing your blood or something. But what I mean is, it's doing something good.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have to watch a clip on exactly what it's doing. Be more eloquent about what it's doing, but. These grounding sheets, because they're connected to copper cable within the house, i.e. they're plugged in, so there's a connection with, the earth by definition because of the copper cables, that the grounding mechanism in your house. So this enables you to sleep in a grounded state, which is apparently great for you. Is it your body's pH and stuff? But
I don't know. I'd have to look. I don't know. Gary Brecker says shoots a lot of shit as well.
I'm getting a lot of ads.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
For this grounding sheet.
Yeah.
I definitely will be.
And I'm seeing adoption anyway taking off. So
right.
I don't know whether it's like a hybrid of this 8 Sleep for temp and the grounding.
The best thing I could do for my sleep is get my daughter out of the bed, but it's 2 years in and she still won't get out. So
is she still in with you guys? Yeah.
No, Danny just goes in the other
Dan's
room.
Dan's in the spare room now.
He's like, I'm sleeping in the other room. I'm like, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Past that point now.
That's best for you both, actually.
Well, exactly. We'd still have a kiss and a cuddle.
Yeah.
Actually, sleep divorce is becoming a real big thing. I see it all the time, and I always think, do people think we're weird? But actually, we love it.
Yeah. So I mean, that's another Brian Johnson thing.
Yeah.
He says definitively,
do not sleep.
Like he's got his bed for sleep, and his bed for other stuff, hasn't he? Yeah. And I don't know what his situation is, but like. He's like, he's pretty much, you can't have. It is nice to sleep with like your wife or.
Well,
whatever,
again, I had the
nice.
sleep expert on. He said he wouldn't be able to rest if his missus wasn't there because she makes him feel safe.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, well, I feel okay with as long as actually Grace is next to me, that makes me feel safe. Because if she's in the other room, I'd be wondering about her.
Yeah.
So at different stages of life, isn't it? But all good. Right, we've come to the end of the podcast. So if anybody wants to get hold of you, how can they get hold of you?
Yeah, so LinkedIn, Daniel Reilly, Reilly. Instagram, I've actually just signed up to TikTok because the marketing team made me do it. They're putting out some marketing videos on there, but Daniel John Reilly on all the socials, really. Connect with me on there and we can talk about marketing attribution, marketing measurement, and all those sort of good things.
Do a bit of a trade of your hero product exchange. I always like that. Yeah, fabulous.
Yeah, well, actually... one of the hero products we're working with now, so it's good.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming in.
No, likewise. Thank you.